And we're recording, folks. Today I'm going to show you the difference between systematic reviews and peer-reviewed research articles. Now, first things first. A systematic review is also peer-reviewed, meaning that somebody writes it and then they send it to a journal or an organization or something academic, and then that organization then asks other professors or academics within that field to review that systematic review. So what we then get is still a peer-reviewed manuscript, but it is different to a peer-reviewed research article. A peer-reviewed research article is when somebody conducts research, they collect data, they analyze the data, they realize something from that data, and then they write a manuscript on it because they want to tell the story of their research, and then they send that to an academic journal or some sort of a academic organization, and then they take that manuscript and they send it out to professors or academics in the field, and then those people review it, and then they determine should it be published or not. Both are peer-reviewed, but there are some differences, and we're going to go over those because in this class, for your annotated bibliography, you will not be allowed to use systematic reviews. And what I mean by to use them is you're not allowed to annotate systematic reviews. Now, you can use a systematic review to find individual articles, but you will not be able to annotate one in your annotated bibliography. Now, for the problem statement and any other subsequent assignments in this class, you may use systematic reviews. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to identify a peer-reviewed article that's based on research and how to identify a systematic review. And then I will also show you how to use a systematic review in order to find studies that you can then annotate. Okay? All right! So here I've done a Google Scholar search for recidivism and rehabilitation, okay? We know that in the United States, recidivism is a massive problem, and this is predominantly due to the way that we punish people and to the laws regarding what is legal and not legal, aka the war on drugs, which is a total suckfest, okay? The war on drugs is one of the biggest failures in American history, okay? We're just screwing everybody over with that. And so because of that, when people go to prison or jail, they're very likely to go back. Depending on what crimes you're looking at, depending on what types of offenders you're looking at, depending on whether you're looking at state, federal, local, our recidivism rates can be anywhere between 40 to 68% within the last 3 years. And it can even be more, up to like 75% if you're looking at 5 years. And what that means is somebody goes to prison or jail, they're released, and then within 3 to 5 year period, they find themselves either rearrested, back in prison, back in jail, or somewhere in the criminal justice system. Meaning, whatever we're doing to people in prison ain't working. Okay, and so some people have been trying to fix that with different programs, such as maybe cognitive behavioral therapy, multisystemic therapy, drug rehabilitation, vocational programs, educational programs. And the reason I know all this is because of research articles, okay? So I go on Google Scholar and I type in, I want to learn something about rehabilitation, okay? And so here you can see we have some articles that pop up. So let's click on this first one here, rehabilitation, prison conditions, and recidivism. So here it looks at, let's see. So here we're like, okay, we want to figure out what this article is about, but we don't want to read all million pages of it. Look at all these pages we have to read, okay? So first thing here that tells us whether this is actual research or a systematic review is right here when we go down to the old, whatever they call this, the appendix or whatever, where all the tables and graphs are, we're seeing numbers and stuff. That should already tell you mayhaps this is a research article. However, some systematic reviews will also have tables and figures, because what some systematic reviews will do is they will take a bunch of studies and then quantify things to show you things in a table. So don't just see a table with numbers and it'd be like, aha, this is research. No, we must look a little further. And so what we're going to do is go up to the abstract. Okay, here's the abstract. That's like the summary, the preview, the trailer, if you will. And let's read it. It says, we use quasi-random variation in the fraction of time served in Italian open cell prison. That already, quasi-random variation, that already sounds very research methodology-y. That should already tell you, mayhaps this is a research article. Okay? The effective rehabilitation efforts on recidivism. We deal with the endogeneity of rehabilitation assignments by focusing on those sources of variability in the length of exposure to rehabilitation efforts that are plausibly unrelated to recidivism. Our most stringent test, right there, test should tell you, okay, these folks are doing some ricerca, because that's how you say research in Italian, because this is in Italian, okay? Where am I? Aha. Our most stringent test restricts the analysis to inmates who are displaced to bolate, I don't know what the fart that is, due to overcrowding in nearby prisons. Controlling, right? That's something you do when you're conducting an experimento, okay? I don't know if that's how you say it in Italian. By around 10 percentage points. For the group, again, like an experiment, right, which is research, involves a test group, a control group, right? We're already seeing quasi-random. These are all things telling us this is a research article. So you may annotate this. Now, if you're like, I'm still not certain, okay, you might want to scroll down. You see the introduction here. This is not that important to you. You go down. Okay, relationship between the literature. This is where they say how things, they cite other studies. They make their academic argument here, sort of what you're going to be doing with your problem statement, all right? And then, the quasi-experiment. So here they're telling you, hey, everybody, we've done a quasi-experiment. This is research, or ricerca in Italiano, okay? So this is good to go. Now, fun fact, right? You can here now look and be like, oh, this is a study, okay? This is a study. So you can look at the literature review of the studies you find. Whoops, daisy, I just hit the freaking back button. I feel very boomery. Okay, so let's go down. So we found those other studies, and here you can find them in the reference list. But Google makes it better. Back. You hear my dog? Frickin' dogs. All right. Cited by. Clickety-clack. These are people who have cited your article that you just annotated, meaning they probably wrote something related to this topic, meaning if you need to annotate a bazillion articles, you might find other articles that are related or even more specific, helping you with your annotated bib. So there you go. Oh, and look at this, folks. A systematic review of the effects of prison segregation. Let's click on this. Here is our systematic review. Oh my gosh, this is way too much to read. I hate this, but I'm going to read it anyways. Segregation in prisons has existed for some time, and we have seen during the past 50 years, come on man, where's the space? An exceptional growth in the number of studies exploring the impact of segregation of prisoners and prison institutions. Segregation has been associated with a range of outcomes such as psychological distress, self-harm, suicide, violent ruminations, institutional violence, and increased reoffending. Okay, I'm not going to read all this. But this is a systematic review, okay? And how do you know it's a systematic review? It says systematic review there, but sometimes it doesn't always say systematic review. So you must read here in the abstract, okay? So here they're already talking about other studies, but some peer-reviewed research does that. But here, this systematic review, all right? They will usually say something like this in the abstract, and then you know this is a systematic review. I can use this to find studies. So look at all these studies they mentioned. Look at all these studies that they discuss here. Okay, look at this. Look at all these studies. Okay, here are all the studies on a particular topic. So, and here they also tell you some studies had negative outcomes. These are the ones with negative outcomes. Some had somewhat negative outcomes. These are the ones with somewhat negative outcomes. Some had neutral outcomes. These are the ones with neutral outcomes. Some have had, I'm assuming, no positive. Okay. And then here they discuss whatever. Okay, so you can use a systematic review to help you find articles to annotate, but you cannot use it you cannot annotate a systematic review, okay? The reason for this is, in the annotated bibliography, I want you to discuss both the content or the topic and, what's the other thing? And the research methods, okay? This damn dog, I'm telling you. You know, I paid $3,000 for this dog, and it's not even half as good as my $300 adopted dog. Now, the only benefit to this $3,000 dog is she doesn't shed all over the place. But she's really cute and snuggly. Okay. I suppose she's a good guard dog. All right, so here we are. This is a systematic review, all right? And you're like, well, what is a systematic review? Well, a systematic review is when, let's say, all of these people that are listed here in blue, right, conducted research on recidivism in prisons, right? But the problem is, let's say I am, me, Martin, I'm trying to learn something about recidivism. Am I going to be able to read all 50 articles? I mean, come on. They're probably not even all able to get I'm probably not even able to get access to all of these through my university library, right? Because we keep academic knowledge beyond paywalls, because just like everything else, no matter how noble we academics say we are, everything costs money, and even knowledge costs money. And then we wonder why our democracy is failing. Anyways, so I might not be able to read 50 articles, right? So that some other scholar goes and says, you know what? I will read all 50 of these articles, and I'll tell you what all of these articles say. I'll group them together so you know how many of these studies have found support for something, how many of these studies have not found support for something, and I'll tell you what you can probably glean from all this research so that you know what's going on with the existing research on something. That's why people write systematic reviews. A systematic review is about summing up all of the research on a particular topic so that it is digestible, so that if I want to learn, or if you want to learn about recidivism in prisons, don't have to read 50 articles. You only have to read one kind of long systematic review. Okay? Oh, look at this. See here? Systematic reviews. Also, oh my gosh, the internet, man. Systematic reviews also have tables and numbers and things, so don't mistake those, okay? This website is jank. Look how jank this website is. Is jank? Jank is not an inappropriate term, right? Hopefully it's not. Sometimes I learn these terms and from the Gen Z, and I don't know that they're super inappropriate, and I say them, and then all of a sudden I'm on the canceling block, right? So I don't know. Is jank a bad word? I hope not. If not, please don't cancel me. I said it out of good faith. Okay, jeez. You can't live anymore. You can't live anymore in these times. Okay. But let's look at some other systematic reviews. So the Campbell Collaboration is I think it's a not-for-profit type of deal. I'm not sure if it's not-for-profit. But what they do is they encourage academics to write systematic reviews in order to make scientific knowledge, available to the public for free. Okay, so what they do is they say, screw you to all the paywall builders, okay? They say, screw you and your paywall. We're gonna encourage academics to write a systematic review on all this research so that people don't have to struggle behind your paywalls. All right. So one of the areas is criminal justice. So here I've done a quick sort of search of criminal justice systematic reviews, and here are all a bunch of systematic reviews on things. Okay, and they're all open access, like they're free. So here we go. The effects of aftercare resettlement services on crime, violence, and children and youth, a systematic review. So we're not doing juvenile justice in this class, so we're not going to read this one. School-based law enforcement strategies to reduce crime, increase perceptions of safety, and improve learning outcomes in primary and secondary schools. Ooh, look at this one. Police stops reduce crime, a systematic review and meta-analysis. Clickety-clack. Oh, Kevin Peterson? That guy is... Oh, yeah, these are... Wow. These are pretty top-notch scholars. Kevin Peterson especially. Very nice guy. Super nice guy. Super duper smart. Writes very well. If you read any of his work, he writes extremely well. Great researcher. I am a little jealous of him because he's way better than I am. Okay. So here they give you a quick abstract of the systematic review. You know, what are they looking at here? What's the purpose of all of this, right? How did they determine which studies to include in their review? Because sometimes people conduct crappy research, right? And you don't want to put crappy research in your systematic review. You don't want to tell people, hey, look at this crappy research, right? Crappy research is crappy research. It doesn't tell you the truth, all right? So what these people do is they say, look, we're going to include certain studies, not all of them. This is why. This is how. Because sometimes things change too, right? Research that was done in the 50s might not be relevant again to research that's been done in the 2024s, okay? So there you go. And it gives you a quick rundown of the results, and it tells you what the author sort of want you to take away from it. So you can use a systematic review, right, to identify specific studies that you can then look up and then annotate. And once you are done with the annotated bibliography and you're writing on your problem statement or any other subsequent assignments in this class, you may use these systematic reviews because they give you an idea of what's going on. Also, looking at a systematic review gives you an idea of what the gaps are in the research. So this is actually quite beneficial to your problem statement assignment. So what I would do if I were you, I would look at systematic reviews first, find a topic where they identify a hole in the research for you, and then go to the annotated bibliography, annotate some of these articles, and then when you write your problem statement, you can write a pretty coherent, basic, good, easy peasy, lemon squeezy problem statement. So yeah, systematic reviews is when somebody reads a bunch of research articles and they write an article about that, a systematic review about that to tell you this is what we found. A research article is when somebody just does research, they write about that one study. For the annotated bibliography, you're doing research articles. For everything else, you can do both research articles and systematic reviews. Anything else? No, because you're not here and it's just me in my freaking office at home. After I've had a lot of coffee. And I had chocolate really early in the morning. You can see it's still 9:28. And I've already had a bunch of chocolate. Alrighty, folks, but if you have any questions, shoot me an email. I would expand on some of my thoughts that I've shared here with you. And if you don't have any questions, then don't email me. Remember, just... you can do this. Chill vibe.